Hello everyone, you're with Tanisha Ali of Butterfly Transformations, and today's topic is spiritual warfare. Yes, this is a very controversial topic, but that does not stop me. I like to delve deeply into those things that challenge our ability to see outside of the own boxes in which we live, that challenge our ability to step into a heightened level of awareness, and that take us out of our comfort zone. So that's what we're talking about today, and this will be one in a series of videos where we really delve into topics that are related to the unseen realm. Many of us know that things are not the way they used to be when we were growing up, that things seem to be getting worse, as some of us may say, or things have taken a different form in the way of how people behave in society and the things that have become acceptable. The majority of us have a moral barometer that we were born with, some subtle unseen aspect that helps us to determine the difference between right and wrong, and when we go against that, we feel a particular way. That is something that I believe is a natural part of our human disposition, something that we were blessed with the Creator. And when we live according to high ideals, which can be put us in a perplexing situation, because we are all susceptible to making errors, and we are all susceptible to doing things that harm us and harm other people, whether we do that consciously or unconsciously. But the point that I was trying to make, or the point that I am making, is that we have a sense of those things that give us peace. When we do those kinds of things, we have a sense of inner calm. We have a sense of those things that give us emotional upset, or that create a sense of emotional turmoil. We also, all of us tend to, or most of us tend to have an inclination about those things that are spreading in our society that don't seem to necessarily be having a positive effect. For example, I always like to use this example because it's one that I think most people can relate to, and you can see it in all areas of our lives. I think about the pornography, for example, that is available and ready to be purchased in society. People have different preferences, and people have certain habits that are their business. This is not about what somebody is doing that is their business. We could speak about that all day. I really don't care about that right now, because that is not on sale for the world to see. That is not being put in everybody's faces, and we have no right to trample upon the effects of other people. Everybody are where they are in their level of awareness based upon how they are evolving. And if we believe in a creator, and we believe in God, as many of us refer to this entity of vast awareness of beauty and love and perfection and infinity and infinitude and incomprehensibility, then we understand that everything is in divine order. And when you understand that everything is in divine order, you really don't spend your time fighting against things. You accept things as they are. You stand back and you work on yourself, because working on yourself is what allows you to slowly progress out of the madness. So as we delve into the topic, and I'm going to do my best not to make this video longer than 15 minutes. They easily exceed that amount. But sometimes you have to respond to the call, and all the time you have to do what it is you're called to do. Otherwise, you bring some sort of disease into your life. And I was called to do this video. And it really started out because I thought about the Doreen Virtue dilemma. The lady who has done the tarot cards for many, 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 many years. She's made a fortune off of creating all of these different tarot decks, and she has online classes, she has schools, she has all of this stuff. And more recently, say within the last year or so, I guess, I can't be exact, she is, I don't want to say caught in this controversy. It's become a controversy because of the people who are taking issue with her freedom of speech. She has decided that everything, quite a bit of what she was doing before was sacrilegious, and she has decided that all of those cards that she produced, or a great deal of them, were misguided. She says that she was visited by certain prophets in her dream, or she was visited by Isa, Jesus, in her dream. And so as a result, she pretty much has washed her hands of everything. I don't want to get into a religious debate here. And the reason why I don't want to get into a religious debate is because each person has a right to embrace those things that make sense to them. I don't believe in judging people for what they believe. I believe in trying to heighten levels of awareness. And I believe in trying to heighten my own level of awareness. And at any given time, I would never say where I'm going to be or what I'm not going to do, because I consider myself to be constantly evolving. And so while I may say something today, if I find and have another experience that causes me to feel a different way tomorrow, then I will feel that different way tomorrow, and I will have the necessary proofs or the necessary clear seeing in order to stand my ground on that. So I don't want to get into a religious debate. So if you want to respond in that way, I'm not going to address those comments, because that's not what the video is about. The video is about understanding that we are in a spiritual warfare, and understanding that no matter how you look at them, Muslims call it one thing, Christians call it something else. Some people refer to it as the end of times. Spiritual people refer to it as the battle between good and evil. Some of us refer to it as light and darkness. The point is, it doesn't matter how you refer to it. What is more important is that you understand that there are lower level vibrational beings and entity who take great pride, happiness, and joy in seeing the torment of human beings. I say human beings because we are not the only beings in the universe. And so if you have a problem with that, then you need to go even farther back into your religious books, and you need to try and discover for yourself what your religious books say, rather than relying on those people who are acting as mediums right now as if they are the only tie to truth. So I'm not debating that either, and I'm not going to go there with you either. But what I would like to say is that when you look around you and you see porn everywhere, when you know that your children go to school and phones are being allowed in the classrooms, and you know that children are watching porn in classroom, when you see that children are using their iPads and their iPhones to airdrop files that go viral in a school within minutes and go viral at multiple schools and in multiple locations within minutes, we have to address what is happening in society, and we have to ask the question, what the hell is going on, and why is it that this is being allowed? And most importantly, who stands to benefit from this? Who stands to benefit from us continuing to live in separation and being afraid of each other, from us continuing to draw a color line in our relationships between black or white, green, blue, yellow people, whatever? Who stands to benefit from us continuing to live in darkness, which really is a state of chaos? Who stands to benefit from all of the labels that religions give us? Who stands to benefit from the judgment that we put on other people about whether or not they wear wigs, fake hair, locks, natural hair, all of this bullcrap stuff that really is not heightening our awareness and is not taking us to a higher plane? Who is it that's benefiting from this? And I'm not here to give you the answer. What I am here to do is to cause you to think about these things that you take for granted. I'm here to ask you to take a deeper look at the things that maybe you don't want to look at. I'm here to ask you to delve into the aspects of yourself that you really don't want to see, the dark side, the prejudices that you have, the biases that you have, the fact that you turn the other way when you need to stand up and fight for, or when you need to stand up and speak against evil or speak against injustice. These are the kinds of things I'm talking about. And why is it that when we speak against injustice or we speak against what's wrong, we have to divide up into all of these different factions? And these people over here have something to say, and those people over there have something to say, and these people don't think they're as good as those people who don't deserve to talk. All this stuff. What I am calling you to do today is to look around in the world in which you live and to ask yourself, where is the spiritual warfare, and what is it that I need to be, in a manner of speaking, waging war against? And when I say waging war against, I don't like to give off the connotation that you need to fight against something, because fighting against something is only going to make that thing worse. What I want you to understand is the state of events and the state of affairs is one of spiritual warfare. But you don't need to engage the spiritual warfare. What you need to do is to engage yourself, develop a greater level of awareness about who you are so that you can heal your pain, so that you can go out then and impact others in a very positive way and give off a level of love and positivity that is healing to people, that allows people to lift their vibration. If it means you have to speak the truth, if it means that you have to be bold, if it means that you have to go places and say things to people that maybe you never thought you could do, would do, or would ever feel inspired or motivated to do. So the question I want you to ask today, because this is going to be a series of videos, is what is it that you see as the spiritual warfare in your environment? Number two, who is it that stands to benefit from this grave level of, I don't know if you want to call it depravity, consumerism, materialism, enslavement, capitalism, greed, whatever. Who stands to benefit from that? And I want you to think outside the box. I want you to get out of this local kind of thinking where you say, oh, well, the pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. That's true, but they're a symptom of a greater problem. So they're small little folks on the food chain, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until we get down to you. But there's a greater threat that is out here, that is a threat to all of us, regardless of what color your skin is, regardless of what religion you are, and how you identify with the world, yourself, your community, and the nature of reality. These are the things I want you to seriously contemplate. I also want you to ask yourself, what would be some of the ways that the entity that benefits, and when I say the entity, it could be a person, it could be an organization, it could be an entity. What are the ways that that entity might, let me say this differently so I can simplify it. How might they prevent a threat to their survival? What would be some of the things that this entity would do in order to prevent a threat to their society? And I want you to look around, and I want you to step outside the Big Brother matrix, and I want you to really start to call certain things into question that maybe before you dismissed carelessly, which is really what we're being guided to do on a day-to-day basis, is to dismiss these things as chatter, conspiracy theory, and all of this other stuff. That's why it's so important that you do the first thing that I asked you to do, which is to look at the things around you and start to pay attention to what's going on. How is it that children can go into a bathroom and a girl and a guy can have sex in a stall in a middle school or elementary school bathroom, and that can be videoed by the gentleman and go viral, and the girl does not care, the boy does not care, it never hits the media because the system of truth is out of alignment with what it needs to be, why your children are not coming home with textbooks anymore, and why everything is being done on the internet, why your children can't seem to remember what is going on in their life or what it is you tell them to do, why you are so tired and wiped out all the time, why you seem to be constantly going against the grain and struggling. Oh, there's a multitude of things. I could sit here and name them one after the other over and over and over again. I want you to begin to take stock of what is going on in your environment and just do a log, do an inventory. And I hope that you'll come back for the next series of videos related to spiritual warfare. And remember, the spiritual warfare is not something that you need to necessarily engage in a resistant sort of way. There's other more enlightened ways to deal with spiritual warfare. We're not talking about civil war like we were back in the day. We're not talking about the civil rights movement like we were back in the day. We're talking about something far, far, far more advanced and intellectually provocative than those little lower three-dimensional kinds of realities that most of us can relate to. Tunisia Ali, Butterfly Transformations. Also, HAIR if you're interested in a tarot reading, if you're interested in an oracle reading, or an energy reading, or some healing of sorts, feel free to contact me at Hidayah Reiki, HIDAYAHREIKI.com. And remember this, that at all times we are receiving information through dreams, through our interactions with people, through our various psychic gifts, through the information we hear via media, through the information that is being programmed into our society to continue to cause us to think a certain way. So when this information comes at you, you don't really get to just dismiss those things that you've stood by all this time, just like you don't just get to dismiss perhaps the need to rework some of the older ways that you have been thinking about your life. I say this because of the Doreen Virtue issue I brought up earlier. Because of where she is denouncing what many people feel is the truth. And she's going against all of those things that she has stood for. Now, she was a part of a movement that was awakening hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of people. So where we know when people represent a movement that is awakening a group of people, they become a threat. And when people become a threat, there is I don't even know what the word is. I got to get a dictionary out. There is a power that be that puts a target on that individual to ensure that that individual is quieted down because they are awakening too many people. And we know so many instances of when that has happened. And when that happens, people disappear. People come out and say things that are totally against things that they've stood for. So I am not here to make a conclusion or to draw a conclusion or to convince anybody of anything. That has never been my calling up to this point anyway. What I am here to do is to encourage you to think. I would always tell my students in the classroom, why do people die in the wilderness? This came as a line in the movie The Edge that I loved. And he said, because they give up the only thing that could have saved their lives, thinking. So why do people die in the wilderness? Because they give up the only thing that could have saved their lives, thinking. So we don't want to think, because we like the comfort zone of the ignorance in which we reside. We don't want to think. We don't want to have to look at things from another vantage point or to turn our introspection on our lives because we feel like we have to give up our conveniences. We don't want to stand for anything. And so if we don't want to stand for anything, then that means we fall for everything, right? So, for example, if you know that, let's say, Walmart is an unjust company because of the way they treat their employees, because of the sweatshops, because of everything else, and you decide you don't want to think about that because you need to get your Dawn liquid detergent for $1.96, even though it's up to $3 now. You don't want to think about that. That's the problem. That's the problem. But because you're a part of the problem, you're also a part of the solution. And we need more people to open their eyes to the light of day. We need more people to wake up. Now, they have a Lidl that they built down the street from where I live. Lidl is a concept from Europe. And it's kind of like Aldi's in that you bag your own groceries and, you know, you're not guaranteed a bag if you don't buy a bag or bring a bag in. But they pay their employees, they start them out at $12 an hour. And they have benefits, and people seem to be doing okay. And the prices of the groceries, including the organic food, is quite a savings. So I say that to say that there is a model out there that can work better for you, that doesn't require that you have to give up all of your allegiances and alliances to the luxuries of your life or the things that make you feel good. But you don't get to sit down and not do anything anymore because the spiritual warfare is too deep today. The spiritual warfare is too serious, and you can see it being broadcast to you all day long. The technology is a source of it. It connects us and allows us to do amazing things, but it also disrupts the human energy field. It also is very dangerous, along with all of the other EMFs that are zooming over our heads invisibly in all sorts of ways, and we're not dodging them, and we're sleeping with this stuff, and our kids are on it all night, and we wonder why. They are irritable, they are restless, they have anxiety, they're not feeling well. We're dealing with a lot today, people, and it's time to stop the madness. It's time to stop and take stock, and like I like to say, join the evolution. It's time to join the evolution. I'm Tanisha Ali, Butterfly Transformations. Keep coming back and more will be revealed.